My name is Dr. Richard Wilkins, and I am the Center Director for the NASA Center for Radiation Engineering and Science for Space Exploration at Prairie View A&M University in Texas. We study the space radiation effects and look at ways to make missions for the astronauts and their instruments safer and more reliable. When astronauts go into space with their spacecraft, they go into a hostile environment. One of the things that they have to contend with is higher levels of radiation than you find here on Earth. The radiation comes from the sun, and it comes from outside the solar system from galactic cosmic rays, and is unavoidable. It is one of those things that the astronauts and their instruments have to deal with and live with in one way or another. We study ways of measuring that radiation. We study ways of detecting it. We study ways of how to model it. And also we look at materials on how to mitigate the effects or help shield the astronauts and their instruments. And also look for ways of making their instruments through the electronics more tolerant to the radiation. And so one of the tools that we're developing to do this is we're building these test beds that are designed to mimic the surface characteristics of the Moon and Mars, so that we can take these test beds to different particle accelerators which help mimic the space radiation environment, and we can do experiments in various ways that will closely mimic the actual space environment that the astronauts and their instruments would see here on Earth, so that when these missions do take place, things that would be used to measure radiation, or instruments that the astronauts would use, and the astronauts themselves would have ways of dealing with the radiation that would be involved in these missions. So we are very closely aligned with various people within NASA that work in the radiation area. We do a lot of work with very large particle accelerators throughout the country, and we involve our students in all aspects of this research so that they can get hands-on experience and enhance their education through the research. One of the things I would tell students at maybe 7th, 8th, 10th grade about why they might want to study science, math, engineering, or technology is this: from a personal point of view, my study in the field of physics has allowed me to really fulfill a lot of dreams I've had since childhood. Just yesterday, as part of the meeting that I'm at here, I got to go to a space shuttle launch, and I remember when I was 6 years old asking my mother to go down to Cape Kennedy at the time to see a space shuttle launch, and it just wasn't possible then. Yesterday it became possible, and it was possible through hard work and study in physics. And there are other aspects of science and engineering, math and technology that can help make their dreams come true as well. I personally believe that the investment that is made in space exploration is brought back many times fold in the economy in general. For example, I would say one of the reasons why the United States was able to expand their economy so greatly in the 90s was from people like myself being inspired by the moon landings in the late 60s and early 70s to go into science and technology, so that we would build the intellectual infrastructure that would make such an economic growth possible. And so I think that it may be an indirect measure of the impact that NASA has, but I think it's a real impact, and I think that it's something that the country will certainly benefit from starting now and into the future.